This video is about using ordered pairs to complete rate tables. In an earlier video, we were looking at how to complete rate tables using scale and the unit rate. So this one is a little different because in this one we're starting with a graph and then we're using that to complete the table. All right, so the first problem says Gloria earns $5 per hour babysitting her younger brother. Use the graph below to complete the rate table. All right. So because this is a graph, we can think of it in the coordinate system, right? So this horizontal line here at the bottom is our x-axis, and then this vertical line here we can think of as the y-axis. And what we want to do is look at the graph and figure out what is the ordered pair that goes with each of these points. And then we can use those ordered pairs to complete the graph down here. All right, so if I look at the graph, I can see down here I have the number of hours. So the number of hours she babysits, if she babysits for 1 hour, and then she's going to earn, if you draw it over here, it's not exactly there, but you can see it's between 4 and 6. She's gonna earn $5, all right? So the number of hours, that's our x. So I'm gonna put x for the x coordinate. I'm gonna put 1 for the x coordinate. And then over here, she earns $5, that's our y coordinate. Okay, remember these are called ordered pairs because they have to be in a certain order. X comes first, Y comes second. So I'm using my X coordinate, 1, and then that goes with my Y coordinate, 5. So 1 and 5. All right, if I continue, then when I get to the next point, I can see the X coordinate is now 2, and then the Y coordinate is 10. And if I continue along the x-axis, remember I always go left or right first, so that would be 3. And then I go up 2, and I can see that this is between 14 and 16, so that would be 15. All right, so once again, ordered pairs, it's important to keep everything kind of in the right spot. So I'm gonna use a highlighter to sort of help us keep track of that. Notice down here, our number of hours was the x-axis, so we put x over here. We had 1, 2, and 3. So we want to make sure when we fill in our rate table that all of this is in the right place. So we want to make sure our number of hours, our x coordinates go with the number of hours in our ratio table. All right, so if we look at the two things listed here, number of hours is first. That means my x coordinates are going to come first. So I'm going to put my x values here. And I know my x values are 1, 2, and 3. All right, and then my y values, my y coordinates came from this axis, money earned, so right here. And I put my y values in my ordered pair over here, so I had 5, 10, and 15. And again, I just want to make sure the money earned here and these numbers here all go in the right place in my rate table. So I can see that money earned is the second part of my table. And so that's where I'm going to put my y values. All right, so when x was 1, y was 5. And when x was 2, y was 10. And when x is 3, y was 15. Right? So if I want to continue the table, how about we try, let's say 5 and 10. Right? I can use scaling in order to predict what those numbers would be. I can do that using 1. 1's an easy number to multiply by. So if I multiply 1 times 5, I get 5. So I'm going to do the same thing on bottom. I'm going to multiply 5 times 5, and that gives me 25. All right? If I need to get from 1 to 10, I would multiply times 10. So I would do the same thing on the bottom here. Multiply 5 times 10, and that would give me 50. So if she works 10 hours, then she earns $50. All right, let's look at a second example. In this one, Bethany can read 2 books every 6 days. Use the graph below to complete the rate table. All right, so she can read 2 books, that's right here, every 6 days. So if I go up, I can see that this graph is matching what was given to me in my problem. All right, so now the next thing I want to do before I complete my ratios table is to pull these points off of the graph and make them into ordered pairs. So again, where's my x-axis? It's down here, it's this horizontal line. I'm going to go ahead and label it as x, and this vertical line right here going up and down is considered my y-axis. Over here, I want to make sure I get my order right. I'm going to list the x values first and then the y values. All right, so the number of books when I, for one book here, one book would be x. I would go up to my y value, and I can see it's between 2 and 4, so that would be 3. Right? For the next one, and then when the x value is 2, I go up and look across. This would be 6 for y. So again, I'm starting at 0. Remember, that's called the origin. I go over to 3, and then I go up to this number here. You can see that's between 8 and 10, so that would be 9. All right, so again, I want to make sure my x value and my what was listed on my graph also match what's in my table. So I'm just going to highlight just to make that really obvious. The number of books was my x coordinate here, my x axis here, and I used 1, 2, and 3 as those values. So on my table, number of books would be at the top here. All right, for my y values on the graph, this was labeled as the number of days. My y coordinates were 3, 6, and 9. And on my table, I want to make sure my number of days get the same numbers. So the number of books were 1, 2, and 3. And the number of days were 3. For 1, it was 3 days. For 2, it was 6 days. And for 3, it was 9 days. All right, so again, I can use these rates to predict other amounts. And so let's just try 4, 6, and 9. All right, so these points weren't on my table, but now that I have a set of values, I can use those numbers to complete other ratios. All right, so starting from 1, that's your unit right here, I can use that to figure out 4, 6, and 9. So I know that when I multiply 1 times 4, I get 4. So that means I want to do the same thing times 3. So 3 times 4 is 12. All right, if I do it for 6, I'm multiplying 1 times 6 to get 6. So I want to do the same thing on bottom. 3 times 6 is what? 18. And if I continue this, 1 times 9 gives me 9. And 3 times 9 would be what number? 27. All right, so now I've completed my table. So just kind of to sum this up again, I'm using ordered pairs from a graph. So first thing I do is I look at the graph, I find the x and y values, and I use those to make an ordered pair. Then after I have a set of ordered pairs, I can use those to complete the table. All right, see you soon.